In a time full of war, be peace. In a time full of doubt, just move.
Greetings, Your Excellencies. I am Precious Osinaku, and I'm your host for the Peacemakers Hub. We're still counting down to the NTI's International Day of Appreciation. While reflecting on the appreciation culture, the wise words of Dale Carnegie came to me. He said, I shall pass this way but once. Therefore, any good that I can do or any kindness that I can show to any human being, I will do it now. Let me not defer or neglect to do it, for I shall not pass this way again. This is very true. Let's be intentional about appreciating people. And appreciation is not flattery. Next week, we'll talk about how appreciation is very different from flattery. To continue our conversation on understanding the human nature, I have with me Idowu Adeyemi, and we'll be speaking more specifically about breakups in friendship. I'm sure you're super excited as I am about this topic. Now, Idowu Adeyemi is a legal practitioner. He was my classmate in the University of Ibadan. He's a public speaker. He's a freelance writer. He has over 5 years experience working in the social impact space, policy development, and disability rights advocacy. That's some resume. He's currently the CEO of Achievant Consulting, a public speaking and literacy firm. Thank you, Idowu, for joining us today. Thank you so much for joining us again for this session on understanding the human nature. And like I said earlier, we're speaking specifically as to breakups and friendships, or friendship rather. Yeah, so thank you for
very
joining
much for
us.
having me. Thank you so much for having me, Precious. It's a pleasure being here with you.
Yeah, same here. Sorry, I might just say ID a few times, even though I'm supposed to be official, but I'm used to calling it ID considering that we finished from the same university and we're classmates.
It's a privilege being your colleague.
Thank you again, ID. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Yeah, so like I briefed you earlier, so we started this series on understanding the human nature, and today we're speaking specifically as to breakups in friendship.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean? I mean, if you're going to call somebody your friend, who would you call a friend? Or who would you call a friend?
Who would I call a friend? I think that's an interesting question.
Exactly.
Considering the fact that the word friend is often used from a very loose perspective these days. People meet someone today, and after having a couple of drinks together, especially as guys, maybe the guy don't pay for your beer, eyes don't raise small. I say the guy is my friend and all of that. But I think in the actual sense of it, friendship goes beyond that. I think friendship is a relationship of responsibility. It's a relationship that comes with responsibility, and it's a relationship that comes with a certain level of expectation. So for somebody who I will call a friend, it must be somebody that at some point in my life or at some point in that person's life, we have been through some things that a casual acquaintance would not have gone through together with me, or would not have gone through together with that person. We have shared some intimate relationship conversation, not essentially in the romantic sense. Now, when I use the word intimate,
no, intimate does not even mean romantic at all. I'm
trying to make sure I stay off mainstream.
I understand you.
Of these words, So So basically, that is the kind of person I would call a friend. Somebody that we've had like a bit of a long history of relationship, of intimate relationship, sharing deep things together, and then we have done a lot of things together that you would not have done with just ordinary person or an ordinary casual acquaintance. That's the person I'll call a friend.
True. I mean, I like the word you use. I like the intimate bit of it. I mean, there's some sort of conversation, there's some sort of relationship, there's some sort of consistency, there's a sort of giving. The both of you have given something to make that relationship work. I mean, there's some sort of vulnerability,
Exactly.
intentionality. and all the likes, and to say, oh, this is my friend. I've been intentional as to giving you my time, my space, different things and all that.
Those are factors that definitely come to play.
So in us talking about breakups and friendship, so it's a common saying comes to my mind, not necessarily common, but I've heard people say things like, it's better. The only thing better than making a new friend is keeping an old one. The only thing better than making a new friend is keeping an old one. But then, of course, I wouldn't want to speak for you, but I'm just saying that have you ever had situations where you deliberately had to, break up from a friendship? And if you have, that's the first bit of the question. Have you had a situation where you deliberately had to, walk away from a friendship?
Okay, first of all, I'll say that this is the first time I'm hearing this particular quote, and it's quite interesting. For me personally, I've had to walk away from a couple of friendships, actually more than a couple, because things were not the way I thought they were in that friendship, in that relationship between me and this used to be friend of mine. And I'll share one.
Okay.
So about a couple of years ago, say sometimes in 2020. Okay, so a friend had approached me with a need, So and because 2020 is the COVID period, and everything was down almost from every angle, even financially, And I'm not exactly the kind of person that likes to put money into things I call consumptive kind of thing, I'm not always eager to spend money on things that I'm not, getting money in return from. Let me put it that way. So, for instance, if a friend has approached me for money to buy clothes, I may be wondering what is wrong with your wardrobe, as against if you have approached me for money that you want to invest in something. I will be more interested to put money in that kind of thing. So this particular friend, knowing this about me, had come to me for a loan, for an investment, he called it. And because we had a long-standing friendship, we've known each other for nothing less than about 5 years, at the time. So he came and he says that there's this thing is looking to, put some money inside, blah, 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 and that he needs about 200,000 naira. I said, bro, in this COVID period, and especially in this economy of 2020, 200,000 naira, where's that kind of money going to come from? So we had a bit of back and forth about this. He gave me some details about the investment he intended to use the money for. I didn't quite understand a lot of it, to be honest, but I felt like this guy is somebody I can trust. We have a long-standing relationship, so there's really and he hasn't really given me a reason to, query him about
doubt him, exactly.
Yeah, doubt him, or have a feeling that it could be mischievous or anything like that. So I told him that, well, I don't have that kind of money to give out at that moment, but what I can do is a half of that money, and that I'll be expecting it. According to him, he would be able to get back to me with refund in about 3 months. So I said, okay, it's no problem. So, I did half of what he asked for. And at the end of 3 months, I expected that, okay, my brother, how this matter they be, how it's done red for every corner. So you guys do your brother well, that kind of thing, So he came up with an excuse and said, oh, some things were held up in some of the investment, but I should just give him a couple of weeks and it will be sorted out. I said, oh, no problem. I mean, it's
Oh, sorry. We're having a bit of
put my mind to it. But at that point, I was also, the way money can be now. My pocket was also beginning to do me one kind. So there is need for me to actually use some extra resources. So I reached out and said, oh, bro, you said you were going to reach out to me in 2 weeks, and this is like more than 3 weeks past, and I've not heard from you. And it was like, oh, yeah, that he remembers, and that I should just send my account details where I would like the money to be forwarded. I was excited, so I just forwarded my account details, and 2 days later, nothing showed up. Long story short, it turned out that this particular friend of mine did not actually invest money in any form of investment at all. He had collected the money for a different purpose entirely, which I would rather just not mention, you know.
Okay.
And he had collected the money for a different purpose entirely, and now he cannot even refund the money, you know. So I was a bit upset. If I was not a bit upset, I was really upset because 100,000 naira was not the money I could just throw away and let go. So I was like, you can't do things like this. First of all, what you have done is a breach of trust. You know, I trusted you that, you know, we have a long-standing relationship, and this is money we're talking about for that matter. I mean, the Yoruba people have a saying, "Wani," they will say that "Owo lo ma n boju ore je." The literal translation of that would mean that na money they spoil the face of friendship. Sure, you get. So I'm like, you can't do this. What you have done is a breach of trust. It's a breach of the kind of relationship that we've always had. Now you have lied to me. You are not exactly different from a swindler right now because you basically lied to me to, you know, get this kind of money from me. And now you are finding it difficult to refund. And so when I raised this concern out of the fact that I was upset, it flared up. As a matter of fact, I have to say, I've never seen that version of him before. You know, he flared up and was like, no, why was I talking to him like that? Is it just because of that chicken change? You know, I said, well, it might be taking chicken change to you, but if you would be kind enough as
It's
to refund me,
definitely not that to me.
yeah, if you would be kind enough to refund this chicken change so that I can eat some chickens, you know, I would not exactly
You
mind.
mind.
But he could not, you know, refund this chicken change, and that was how I had to start, you know, calling him consistently for that money. You know, and at some point he refunded 50%, and that was how the rest of the money never came. And then what now became the last straw that broke the camel's back in that particular friendship was that he had reached out to some of our friends, like some mutual friends, with a different story entirely, to say that I was harassing him because I was in a position to be of help to him at some point, and then I acted as if we've not always been friends, and you know, a lot of other terrible stories about me. And I called, I reached out, I said, why are you doing this? You know, a simple apology, I'm sorry that I did this, and a reasonable explanation of why you did what you did, you know, we could still move forward with this relationship. But now you are trying to basically, I mean, destroy a bridge. You know, that's exactly what you're doing right now. And it's not going to end well, you know, if you keep up with this. But he kept up with it. And after sometimes a couple of mutual friends even intervened, but he just gave up that attitude of I don't care. And up to this very moment, the chicken change was not refunded. I've not been able to eat chicken. So so you know, when he did that, and I tried to, you know, reach out to him and said, look, we have a long-standing relationship, and you don't do things like this. You know, Yoruba people will say that omilenyo, like people are like water. You know, you never can tell where you get to meet yourself again. Like if you meet me again down somewhere 2-3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, what do you want us to be able to say about each other? You know, we don't have to, you know, ruin a relationship that has been good for sometimes just like this, but it wasn't forthcoming. Whatever his reasons were, honestly, I do not know till this very moment. So he was even the one that stopped reaching out to me first. So after some times, you know, I just had to, you know, you can't force a relationship of someone. I was trying to reach out. At some point, he thought it was because of the money, but it wasn't. I was just trying to find out exactly if maybe there was other underlying issues that I was not aware of, you know, so that I was not an inconsiderate person and all of that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it wasn't forthcoming. So I let go. And sometimes late last year, he just reached out to me out of the blues. And I thought maybe he was ready to talk, to be honest. I'll have a conversation. Maybe he had gone through whatever he was going through that he probably didn't want me to be a part of, you know. And then he's ready to have a conversation of the bygone and all that. But then he reached out to me out of, oh guy, I may we link up now, you know the way guys we guys can do things now. May we link up, may we drink and blah 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 blah. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. But I was expecting more, you know, from the conversation. And the conversation just kept going in the direction of nothing had gone wrong between us before. And there was no precedent to us breaking up for over a year, for not being in touch for over a year. And then you have just come back and just expect that things will go back to the way they used to be. So I said, no. This is not the kind of person I want to have as a friend. So I just stopped reaching out since that time.
Oh.
So yeah, that's one of the examples.
I would say, I mean, this is an interesting story, and I think we'll really continue with this. Beyond this particular episode, would have more conversations about this, and I'm happy we actually started off by defining or trying to define who a friend is, so that we don't just box people in or give or create some sort of expectations that you probably should not expect from a random
from
person
people.
And exactly what have we. So I'm glad we had that conversation, and I'm sure we would even continue. So from your from some of the things you have said, it's clear that things like maybe trust, lies, that's dishonesty. Because there were two prongs to my question. That have you ever deliberately walked away from a friendship, and what was the reason? So you said yes, you have. And from your story, apparently issues of trust, issues of trust, dishonesty. Is it defamation now?
Indeed, defamation.
I mean, maligning your name and all that can make you say, you know what? I mean, I'm walking out of this. I'm leaving this space. I'm not going to invest my emotions in this person, invest my time in this person in that kind of way. I mean, I don't also want to think, I mean, for the fact that you even took up the call and then you wanted to continue, show that you were ready to, to make that person be in your space, but you just didn't think that maybe the character trait of that person was,
I just wasn't getting the same energy I was given anyway.
Yeah. So my second question for you is, do you think people outgrow each other in a friendship? Like, do you think people outgrow each other? Do you think people outgrow each other?
This is okay. Well, I don't know, because to be honest, I've heard people say this a lot, that sometimes you could outgrow a friend, or people could outgrow themselves in friendship and all of that. But for me, I don't think it is essentially that people outgrow each other. And I think it is more of an issue of your perceptions not aligning. Okay. And let me explain what I mean by that. Because oftentimes when people talk about how friends can outgrow each other, I often hear conversations about how basically it's always an issue around changing social status. So let's say 2 people, 3 people used to be friends, and for some reason fortune has smiled on one of them and is in a better place than the 2 other persons or the other friend. And the odds are that he has more responsibility, he has more demands, the social connect circle might have changed. He's probably thinking about a lot more other things than what he used to think. And in my opinion, I feel like I don't think that is a reason why friendship should end. And I don't essentially see that as a form of outgrowing the other person, because if you are in a friendship relationship and it is the kind of trust-based relationship that we're talking about here, I think you having an upgrade in your social status should be a reason why you want to pull your friends up to, in whatever way you can, to help bring up your circle with you. There's no point you sitting alone at the top and not being able to do things for your friends. So I don't think it's often an issue of outgrowing each other. I think it's an issue that people's perception at some point may stop aligning. People may stop sharing maybe the same beliefs or the same values that help them to be on the same page as friends at some point in time. And let me share an example of this. I met someone sometimes back in 2013.
Okay.
And I was going through some difficult time at that particular point in time. And it turned out that this person approached me by herself and says, "Oh, I've seen you somewhere before now. And I noticed that you were not looking like you were very comfortable in the place I saw you. So I had made up my mind that when I see you again, I would walk up to you and I will offer my help. Now that's like typical good Samaritan, right? I'm like, wow, this is really rare, and I was like, wow, thank you very much. I really appreciate your help. And truthfully, this person did help. This person helped me, helped me get through most of the difficult thing I was going through at that particular point in time. And she was just very kind to me, basically. So, through that, we became friends. And we were, always in touch. We always talk. We always share a lot of things together. And I just discovered that somehow, a year down the line, our flow of conversations started breaking. Okay. There was like a break in transmission. I was like, okay, what is going on? I would try to reach out. She would just, step back, like take a step back and all that. So at some point, I decided to give her a little time and see, how things turn around. But I gave it like a few time and then things were not changing. So I kept on trying to reach out because this person helped me. Our friendship didn't start off just through a random conversation, and I always hold such relationship dear a lot because this is somebody that I believe that I owe a lot. I owe her a lot for what she has done. It's not every day you see people meet you in a vulnerable position and they are willing to still be your friend and help you. More often than not, people who can be fake would want to be your friend when they feel that there's something they can benefit from you. At the point I met this person, there was literally nothing I could offer her, to be honest with you. So, and she helped me get through that thing, and I was in a better position. So I reached out, and this person was not forthcoming. So one day, I called and I said, you know what? I want us to talk. And this is what we are talking about. And because I feel very uncomfortable about where we are. I mean, there is a place we used to be, and it breaks my heart that we are no longer in that place. And I'm sure you have noticed this too. And I just want to know why, because I want to believe that I'm doing what I can on my end to reach out to you. And I want to make sure that I've not done something wrong. I am not doing anything wrong to, bring us to this stage. So we did meet and we talked, and the response I got from this person was that, in our opinion, our friendship was for a reason at the time, and that reason, in our opinion, had been fulfilled. And I started asking, I said, okay, so what do you think was the purpose of this friendship at the time we met? She said, it is a belief that God strategically placed her in my way to help me get through what I was going through at that particular point in time. And that since that has been done, there is basically no reason to continue with the friendship. So I thought, no, I don't think there have to be something else to this, because you don't meet people. So let's say you are in a position to help someone. You don't meet people, help the person, be friend with them for a while, and then all of a sudden discard them just because you feel like the friendship has served its purpose. For God's sake, our relationship was not based on contract. So what do you mean we have it wasn't a contractual relationship. So what do you mean by it has served its purpose and it has to end? But that was the reason she gave me, and she couldn't give me anything, more out of the conversation that day. But what I think I noticed from my end is that I think the reason why that relationship went that way was because I think there was a problem with religion. Religion was a problem. And because at that point, I was not exactly the most religious guy around. Okay. And this person holds a belief so dear. Maybe lifestyle I was living, or maybe the way I do some things is not maybe she doesn't want to be unequally yoked. Let me
Oh my God.
permit me to use that scripture in that context. So, I was not living the exact kind of life she probably aligns with the kind of religious values she holds. That is what I think, So because I had tried and explored every other thing, options that I could. So So I thought that was, to me, that was what I think happened, because I know how much and how dear religious values are to her, and how much she owed this thing, and how she would not let them go for any reason in the world. So I felt like I was probably not fitting into that picture. So maybe that was the problem. So that's the point I was illustrating by, people's perception not aligning at certain points in time. So when people say that people outgrow themselves in friendship in terms of maybe social status or anything, I don't think social status alone, is supposed to be a reason why a friendship or a relationship is not sustainable anymore, or is not what it used to be. I think more often than not, there's probably a truckload of underlying issues that people are not addressing, or that people are not discussing. So for me, I think it's more of an issue of not having like the same perspective anymore, not your perception not aligning, basically. So I think that is more of it for me.
I'm glad I started with this statement that or a saying that goes that one thing that is more important than making friends is making those ones.
Yeah.
And from this series on understanding the human nature, we've learned something. We've learned something very profound. That, people are different.
Yeah.
And they have a right to be different. That people are different and they have a right to be different. And we've also shared something that my attitude to my fellow man is dependent on my understanding of him. So I believe, I really know that we're not done talking about this topic, but for time we have to end here today, because there's just a lot to talk about. If we really believe that one thing that is more important than making new friends is keeping old ones, and I mean, for some of all of these issues you've raised today, that means there's just a lot to still talk about. There's just a lot. There's just a lot of enlightenment that needs to go in for people to really understand the human nature. Because my attitude to my fellow man will be dependent on my understanding of man. Why people should understand people, or understand them, like your fellow man. Why? I mean, and this whole concept of walking away from friendship, losing friends, and all the rest. I mean, I believe that there's still more. I mean, we have many things to even discuss as surrounding or as pertaining to this. So thank you again, Idowu, for joining us. And
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Like when the call for, I mean, when I make a request that you join us next time, you would.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm definitely not done exhausting. There's still more to talk about. There's still more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because I'm a better person, I'll just be a better friend. Better friend.
True.
Will get us all to be better versions of ourselves, appreciating ourselves, understanding who I am, and then, like my boss would always say, or Ambassador Fredman, he would say, the largest thing in the world is the need for you understand the human.
That is absolutely correct.
I know, there's work to be done. So thank you again, Idowu, for me.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
Mediation Training Institute is registered in Nigeria with a vision to create a new African order where peace and harmonious coexistence will thrive, where divisive national frontiers and the burden of military spending and man-studied inhumanity to man will be things of the past. We do this by providing requisite skills and resources for managing differences, for promoting peace and harmonious coexistence at home, at work, and in the society at large, through conflict management and mediation skills training, and the promotion of mediation and other non-adversarial methods of dispute resolution in private and public sector practice. For enquiries, you can call 091 563 11242 or 0803111 5115. Or you can visit our social media pages, Mediation Training Institute, Facebook and LinkedIn at Mediation MTI, Twitter at MTI Nigeria, Instagram, Mediation Training Institute, building peace, creating harmony, sustaining peace.